चिच्छक्तिश्चेतना रूपा जडशक्तिर्जडात्मिका गायत्री व्याहृतिः सन्ध्या द्विजवृन्दनिषेविता. Lalita is the Chit Shakti. She is the Shakti, the energy which is backing Chit, which is backing our consciousness. There is some level of energy which is spent in being aware. Have you observed this? If you need to specially focus, if you need to specially remain aware, I mean, more so, even when, let's say, we are doing Jagarana on Mahashivratri or whichever days, it takes a great, enormous effort to keep ourselves awake. And that energy itself also comes from the food that we eat. That is why a corpse, which is basically zero in its energy, can neither remain awake nor go to sleep. So even the definitions of sleep and awake are null and void for a corpse. But for a living organism, especially so for the higher evolved organisms, sleep and awareness, wakefulness and sleep are two, like day and night, they are interchangeable and most important for the growth of the organism too. She is the energy which goes into the expenditure of remaining aware. Chit Shakti Chetana Rupa, and she is the of the form of those which embody consciousness. She is the living organism itself, Chetana Rupa. And then, interestingly, she is also the Jada Shakti. There is also an energy behind becoming lazy, behind becoming, going deep into stupor. Jada Shakti and Jadatmika. She is also the those objects which are lifeless, Jada, awareness less. Now, how is Jada having a Shakti? It is because, let me think of this example where, let's say there is a person who is really, really exhausted from work. He has completely burnt out, he or she. She comes home back and then she has to look after the family. And then let's say there are two small kids. So I don't even have to say, all of you ladies already know the pain of being a parent and raising children, all those sleepless nights and all of that. So now she is totally exhausted. And let's say she has bugging thoughts in her head. It takes, therefore, even if if the body is so exhausted, if the mind is still active, if the mind is still contemplating about the future or of the past events or of something in the office, and then uh, let's say somebody is sick or she herself is sick and so on, then the mind is preoccupied. It will not allow her to sleep. So to become jada, in this case, the closest to being a dead organism is to go into sleep for a living organism. Correct. So to become jada in that sense, it still takes energy voluntarily, purposefully, and intentionally putting that energy into the mind to calm her thoughts down. And only then will she be able to glide away into a peaceful, dreamless sleep. So that is Jada Shakti was one very crude example of it. The other example is, for example, we when we uh, undergo an operation, right? The body instinctively becomes is very aware, very on edge during an operation, and therefore to calm it, one must take some anesthesia, some numbing creams, or some analgesics and so on, which in a form are energy in themselves. Why? How are they energy? Because when these chemicals come into our body, they attach to certain receptors in the brain, which block certain neuroreceptors, and uh, they block the pathway of the transmission of signals. And thus, so there are the sodium and the chloride channels, potassium and sodium channels. The doctors, if there are any in our session today, will be able to better elaborate on those. And then, so there is a greater concentration of one of these ions in one side, thus leading to a block in the flow of signals. And therefore, it's as though the pain is still being felt by each of these body cells. But just that pain which they are screaming, these cells are screaming, it's not reaching the brain because there is a block. So all that energy has been conserved or blocked or dammed, DAMMED. It has been dammed at the brain. So there is a particular amount of energy which remains in the brain and does not flow. So that can also be thought of as the Jada Shakti. And which is why also after the analgesic wears off, after the anesthesia wears off, why is it that the brain suddenly starts experiencing pain? See, while operating, there is pain. We all agree, we all admit to it. But after the operation is done and in the waiting room or in the lobby, in the recovery room, why should there be pain? Who is touching the body? Who is meddling with the nerves? Nobody. So it must be in status quo, which means whatever the state of this person was before the operation must be the same state afterward also. But no, we still experience post anesthetic pain. Why is that? Because the energy which was stored in the brain, which was blocked in the brain, is now, because it wore off, is now allowed to convey, is now allowed to conduit. And so that energy which was stocked in the brain will now start flowing into the body. And because the energy recognizes if it is pain or pleasure, that energy, when it flows through that affected part, let's say I got an operation in my hand. So when it flows through that, it senses that something was wrong with this at this part. It has been traumatized. This area, this organ has been traumatized. It has undergone trauma. And so even if it is not currently under surgery, it will still report it as something being wrong, which is basically what we feel as pain. Therefore, all of this is just to say that even in a state of unconsciousness, in a state of non-being, there is an energy which is backing it. That is Jada Shakti. And Jadatmika, she is all these objects around us which are inanimate. Gayatri, she is the Gayatri, the Chandas Gayatri, as well as the Mantra Gayatri, as well as the Devi Gayatri. So there are three Gayatris. One is the name of the Chandas, which is called the Gayatri Chandas, which has 8 syllables, 3 padas. And then there is also the Devi, the personified version of the mantra, which is with the 5 heads, the 10 arms, sitting on a lotus, the very popular image of Gayatri that we have seen. मुक्ताविद्रुमहेमनीलधवलच्छायैर्मुखैस्त्र्यक्षणैर्युक्तामिन्दुकलानिबद्धरत्नमकुटां तत्त्वार्थवर्णात्मिकां गायत्रीं वरदाभयाङ्कुशकशां शुभ्रं कपालं गदां शङ्खं चक्रमथारविन्दयुगलं हस्तैर्वहन्तीं भजे. This is the dhyana mantra of Gayatri, which occurs very popularly in our Sandhya Vandana mantras. That is the other Gayatri. The third Gayatri is the mantra itself, the very most popular, most powerful mantra, Om Tat Savitur, and so on. That entire mantra is the Gayatri mantra, also called sometimes as the Savitri mantra. She is all the three, Gayatri as the Chandas, as the mantra, as well as the Devi. Vyahritihi, she is the three Vyahritis. What are the Vyahritis? They are Bija mantras which signify the realms. Vyahriti means expansive realms are called Vyahritis. So Bhur, Bhuvas, Suvaha. Bhu, the material realm. Bhuvas is the ethereal realm. And the Swas is the heavenly realm. Bhur, Bhuvas, Suvaha. So we can, just for our sake of understanding, think of this in this way. Bhu is the plane of earth we are sitting on. Bhuva is the atmosphere. And Suva is the sky, the space beyond the earth. So that somewhat like that, the realms, material, uh, supra material, and then metaphysical. These three are the realms, the Vyahritis. She represents all these three. And Sandhya, the twilight hour, either at night or in the day, at dusk or at dawn. She is the most conducive time for sadhana too, which is the Sandhya. The word itself says Sandhya. Sandhi means the place where both day and night overlap. Sandhya. And it is Samyak Dhyayate Asyam. Samdhya. the time at which the dhyana contemplation is samyak, most conducive, most appropriate is sandhya. Luckily for us, we are also doing this Lalita Sahasranama somewhat after the sandhya. Dvijavrinda Nishevita. Dvijavrinda is those who are twice born. Dvijavrinda is a group. Nishevita, she is worshipped by them. Who is this Dvijas? So classically, we call Dvijas as the Brahmanas. However, the Brahmana, Vaishya, and the Kshatriyas are called Dvijas because they were twice born in a sense. They got initiated into the Brahma Upadesha, the Gayatri Mantra, and then they said, now begins your next life. Why? Because once a person has been initiated into the Gayatri Mantra, he or she is then supposed to live an austere life, life of principles, life of dharma. Till then, you can live anyhow, any which how. Now, Dvija here may or may not refer to only these three varnas, but the other meaning, the spiritual meaning of Dvija is those who are sannyasis. The first is where the physical janma has happened, the birth by the in the womb has happened. The second janma is where the guru, the spiritual guru, regardless of our varna, has bestowed upon us a diksha, or I myself, by self effort and self motivation, have renounced the world, at least mentally, and now have taken up sannyasa, let's say, then that is called being a dvija, the twice born. And especially in this context, Lalita is most popularly worshipped across the spectrum of all sampradayas as the female deity, at least in Hinduism, by all sannyasis. Even if they are yet to become sannyasis, they'll still worship. Even after becoming sannyasis, they will still worship the mother goddess in some form or another. No tradition, be it the Shaivite or the Vaishnavite tradition, will ever overlook or neglect the female deity. At least it has been so and preserved so in the Sanatana Dharma, which is a great pride that we must take in. Tattvasana Tattvamayi Panchakoshantara Sthita. She sits on tattvasana. Her entire foundation itself. So asana is what? It is a seat. What is a seat doing? It's supporting her body. So the body of Lalita, the manifestation of Lalita is supported by principle or philosophy rather. Tattvasana is a seat of philosophy she has. Tattvamayi, she is made of all philosophies. Panchakoshantarasthita. She sits antara. She sits inside the panchakoshas, the five sheets. What are the five sheets? Let me just pull that up. Panchakosha. Correct. What are they? Correct. What are the five layers?
The body, breath,
Correct.
mind,
Hmm.
and the last one is Anandamaya. In between Vijnanamaya. Yeah.
Very good. Very right. So if you're able to see the picture, Annamaya is the outermost, which is what ma'am said, like this physical sheath. Pranamaya is the breath. Manomaya is the mind. Vijnanamaya is the wisdom or the greater intellect, and Anandamaya is the last innermost, which is the blissful sheath, bliss body, the body or the state of consciousness into which we go while we are completely unaware, completely in sleep or in anesthesia or under some drugs or in ourselves when we have reached the pinnacle of sadhana voluntarily, we can travel to this kosha too. So these are the pancha kosha. She sits at the heart of it. She sits at the very core of these five sheets. Okay. Now coming back, where we pancha koshantara sthita nisima mahima. She is without um, a boundary. Nisima means a boundary. Without a boundary to what? To her mahima, to her miracles, to her powers, to her spectacular uh, phenomena. There is no boundary. Nissima Mahima. Nitya Yauvana, the ever young. She's called Shodashi for a reason. She is always free. Her age has frozen at 16. So she is always young, energetic, and lively. Nitya Yauvana, Madashalini, completely inebriated. Madashalini is she's on a high, on an eternal high. She never comes down from that high. Uh, Her eyes are always sparkling with that divine ecstasy, the high of the ecstasy, completely averse and detached from the world around her. Madashalini. Madaghurnita Raktakshi. Her eyes have now turned red. Rakta. Because of the ghurnita, because of the levels of intoxication which has risen in her. Madaghurnita Raktakshi. Madapatala Gandabhuhu. And her cheeks, Gandabhu means cheeks, are of a very nice, soft, pinkish, tender not lotus, rose color. Patala. Madapatala Gandabhuhu. Chandanadrava Digdhangi. And her anga means the body, her organs are Digdha, are smeared by Chandanadrava, by the fluid, a very semi-fluid of Chandana. She makes a paste of Chandana and she smears it all over her body, a very fragrant substance. And Champeya Kusuma Priya. Champaka is the flower, Kusuma. She loves the smell of the champa flowers. It's a very intoxicating scent too. Very costly, but also equally beautiful and fragrant. Kushala Komala Kara Kurukulla Kuleshwari. She is Kushala. She is always in her well-being. Komala Kara. She is of the form Akara of Komalatva, of softness, of politeness, of tenderness. Komalakara. Kuru, that is also a very feminine quality, right? Whether man or woman, tenderness and politeness and soft-heartedness is all Komala. Kurukulla, she is the kulla, the flowers, the buds of. Now, Kuru here doesn't mean the Kuru clan. Here it means the, when you say Aravinda, right? You say that those flowers which are born in the mud, in the mucky waters. So Kurukula is those flowers which have bloomed in mud around it. Kurukula. Kuleshwari, she is the empress, the queen of the Kula of any clan. Kula Kundalaya, and here Kula refers to the Kundalini Shakti. Kula Kundalaya, she sits in the fountain of the Kundalini Shakti, the Kula, which is called the innermost sacred sanctum, which is at the Mooladhara, the base of her spines. She sits there. Kundalaya, Kaula Marga Tatpara Sevita, and those who are engaged in very serious sadhana in the Kaula Marga, in the left-handed path, she is the Devata being worshipped through the Kaula Marga. Kaula Marga Tatpara Sevita. So it is not actually all this black magic, pricking of dolls, cursing, putting shapa, and all of that is not actually Kaula Marga. I have repeated this several times. There is no particular deity being worshipped. But the actual, true, authentic Vama Marga or the Kaula Marga is where Lalita, or in her various forms as Kali, Tara, Chinnamasta, or Dhumavati, and so on, where she is only being worshipped through the left-handed path. Tatpara Sevita. Kumara Gananathamba Tushtif Pushtir Matir Dhritihi. She is the Amba. She is the Amma, mother to both Kumara and Gananatha, to both Kartikeya or Muruga and Ganesha Gananatha. Tushtihi Pushtihi Matihi Dhritihi. She is Tushti, she is contentment. Pushti is she is nourishment. Mati is she is the using the intellect, the rational. faculty of our brain. Matihi. Dhritihi is the will part of our brain, the willpower. Dhritihi. Shanti is the part where it seeks peace and it is at peace. Shantihi. Swastimati is where it seeks well-being. So you may be or may not be at peace, but there can be well-being around you. So that is swasti. Shanti is within internal happiness, swasti is external happiness. Swastimati, then Kantihi, she is attraction. Kanti means attraction. A very charming personality some people have called as charisma, right? That charisma is Kantihi. Nandini, she is ever in a state of joy. Nandini. Vighnanashini, she, because of course, Ganesha got his power of doing Vighnanasha from his mother. And that Vighnanashini character, the trait of destroying all obstacles, comes very easily from Lalita herself. Vighnanashini. Tejovati, she's beaming with confidence, with power and charm. Tejaha. Trinayana, three eyes. Lolakshi Kamarupini. She has eyes which are Lola, which are fluttering, which are ever in motion like a fish. Lolakshi. And then Kamarupini. All desires are hers. All desires, their fulfillment or unfulfillment thereof, are both because of Lalita. And the desire in themselves is the form of Kama. Whereas Shiva is represented as the void, the Kama is represented as Shakti. So Shiva and Shakti, the void and the desire, the void and the first very seed of creation, the void, the space in which the cosmos was created is Shiva, whereas this very desire to manifest, to create, Ekoham Bahusyam, so says the Chandogya Upanishad. I am one, but I want to experience myself in multitude. Bahusyam, I must become, may I become many. That is what the first primordial force of the universe, whatever we can call it, God, Lalita, whatever, thought. Ekaha aham bahusyamiti. And therefore to become many, first you need desire. Because desire is the one which causes multiplicity. How? Because if I am desiring this charger, this desire is in a way creating and giving validation to the existence of the charger. We say value in economics, right? I say gold has value because people actually believe it so. Otherwise, if you just compare gold and some lead beside it, both are equally metals, they have their own unique properties. Why should I value gold more than lead? Why should I value gold more than cotton? Because people's desire is more towards gold than cotton. Therefore, the value of the gold is actually not intrinsic. The value of the gold is extrinsic, and that extrinsic comes from the desires, the coveting, the desire to possess, the desire to show off, the desire to use it as a status symbol for others. So that desire comes only because humans have that. Something special, something rare, something which is a possessive commodity. Thus, the desire in humans is giving it value. So that is a very simple example. Similarly, the original desire to give, to create, to procreate, to create, and to become multiple gave the paved the path for the creation to happen. Otherwise, if was no desire, it would just be the void. Is it not? So she is that force which initiated creation, which initiated manifestation of multiplicity, which is Kama. Malini, she wears garlands. Hamsini, she has her pet swan with her. Mata, she keeps cuddling it. Mata, mother, she is the form of all our mothers, both biological as well as caretakers. Mata, Malayachala Vasini, she is the one who resides at top of the hill of the Malayachala. Malaya is the mountain range which comes in this Western Ghats. It's called Malaya. That's why the monsoons are sometimes called Malaya Maruta, the winds which blow over the Western Ghats, the southwestern monsoon. And we also say Malai. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೂ ಮಲೈ ಅಂತ ಅಂತೀವಿ. In I think in Tamil and Malayalam we say Malai, Shabari Malai. That Malai comes from the Sanskrit word Malaya, Malaya Chala Vasini. She sits. In fact, there are lot many more Devi Devasthanams in the Western Ghats as compared to other places too. Have myself gone to many of these Devasthana, at least in Karnataka. Up to close to about 20 Devasthana was there in just a small stretch of, and that too those popular ones, in just a stretch between Udupi to Mangaluru through the Ghats. Close to about 10, 20 Devasthanas I found on the way. And of course, the popular ones like Mukambika, Sharda, and then, Hornadu, Annapurneshwari, all of them are also there, Kamala Shile and so on. With every turn of the Western Ghats, there seems to be a Devi temple there. It is also true that she loves residing in forests, Kadamba Vanavasini, and that is why she also likes living in hilly regions too, Malaya Chalavasini. She represents nature itself, and nature is at its best in forests, in hills, in mountains. Malaya Chalavasini. Sumukhi, beautiful face. Nalini, she is the lotus, Nalini. Subhruhu, beautiful eyebrows. Shobhana, she is auspiciousness. Suranayika, the leader of all the devatas. Suranayika. Kalakanthi, she has a throat which is Kala, which represents time itself. The other meaning is which is black in color. Kalakanthi. And why is that? Like I said yesterday, she started slowly appropriating every feature of Shiva. So she took up his three eyes, third eye. She took up his moon, and then the serpents, the Rudrakshi, the Trishula, the Damaru, then the Pashas and the Ankusha. And slowly she converted the Vibhuti into Chandana for herself. And she also took on the black-throatedness of Shiva, the Neelakanthatva, and became herself a Kalakanthi. Kantimati, we have one of our sadhakas in our class, Kantimati. So perhaps this name has inspired her name too. Kantimati, one who is very charming, one who is very charismatic. Kantimati. Kshobhini, she who uh, creates disorder. Kshobha is disorder or chaos. She who causes chaos. Kshobhini. In all of our lives, we say nature gives us blows, life gives us blows, right? So nature in itself has a very peculiar way to craft us and goad us in certain directions by creating chaos in our lives. She is also that, Kshobhini, which is how most organisms, or most all organisms, have evolved. They are put in an uncomfortable environment, and then survival of the fittest. What that is what natural selection is. She, though we call her a mother and all, she is not so easily swayed. We can keep calling her mother as much as we want, but she, when it comes to testing her children, is as rigorous, or in fact more rigorous than Shiva itself. She is a very strict disciplinarian. She has absolutely no mercy. In fact, in the animal world and plant world itself, we can see so much cruelty, natural cruelty, not just inflicted by humans. Naturally itself, if we were to observe all these documentaries we see on Nat Geo, Discovery Channel, and so on, there is so much violence, and there's also a certain beauty to it too. So such violence, such uh, uncomfortable atmosphere is created by nature to test her children, and only those who pass it will be awarded uh, the opportunity to procreate and continue the genes further. Those very genes which are called the survived genes further. And those who did not pass the test, they are mercilessly wiped out. Of course, wiped out in a sense, they will be still reborn, but as a different creature itself. Sukshma Rupini, of very fine subtleness. She's not explicit. She is not really in the face Vala Devata. She is very Sukshma, just as we have seen our mothers or our any very feminine figure in our lives we have seen. They don't really attract attention to themselves. They'll quietly do their thing, and then once in a while they'll come Pratyaksha and show us the light, show us their greatness, and then no sooner do we start getting attached to them, they're already gone. Very sukshma, very subtle. Vajreshwari, she is Indra's patni, so she holds the Vajrayudha. Vamadevi, she is the wife of Vamadeva, of Shiva, so therefore Vamadevi. Vayo avastha vivarjita, completely disconnected from the waves of Vayas and Avastha, of the different phases and stations of our life, of growth, decay, and death, of adult, of childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, then senescence. All of these avasthas, Vayaha avastha is not present in her. Vayo avastha vivarjita. Siddheshwari, the queen of the Siddhas, of all Siddhis are under her control. Siddha Vidya, once again, all the 64 kalas, all the Vidyas she possesses. Siddha Mata, the mother of all the Siddhas, all the Munis, Rishis, all of them consider the Sattvika Buddhi, which is basically which is represented as Sharda or as Saraswati. She is the Mata for all such advanced sadhakas and seekers. Yashaswini, she is successful. She provides success to us. From tomorrow, we shall see how at different chakras, what is her manifestation. So in Vishuddhi, she sits there with a red face, three eyes. She holds a certain ayudha called Khatvanga. And what she likes payasana and so on. So we shall see all these qualities of her different devis at the different chakras. Very interesting. So please look forward to attending tomorrow's class too. Any suggestions and um, inputs? Greatly welcome.
Sir, I have a small suggestion.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it, can we complete the meanings? Because I think probably we are running short of time. So we can complete the meanings of all till the end, and then we can recite by the participants. Is that fine?
Yeah, I was also thinking of the same. I just wanted to be done with one round of practice of everybody. So yesterday, I don't think you were there. Were you there? No, right?
No, I couldn't make it
So
because
I just wanted
I
you to
couldn't have.
chant it today also. Yesterday we saw we had Pavitra ma'am, Usha ma'am, Kanti ma'am, everybody chanted. So yes, that is also my plan. I want to finish off the meanings and then come back to it. But by the way, are all of you understanding? Is there any suggestion about the meanings? Should I go slower, faster? Any particular word you have not understood? And in general, are you liking the discussion on the meanings?
Yes, sir, definitely. There are many things I'm not able to follow. It's not that you are not explaining properly, but probably it is little more knowledge for me. But it is very it's very, very useful discussion which I'm really liking.
Okay, thank you. What about the others? Some feedback is necessary, please.
It is good. Sometimes they're not understanding.
Okay. Do tell me how I can improve if I can convey it better.
Today's discussion is one or two is not.
You didn't hear it or like you didn't understand it?
I didn't understand.
Okay, okay. So next class, please ask me which part you didn't understand. I would lovingly explain it.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? No? Okay. Astu, धन्यवादः. Namaste.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸರ್. Thank you so much. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸರ್.